Now just recently I set up a 1-gallon vase, a planted aquarium for my shrimp to live in. Now naturally a 1-gallon vase isn't large enough to have a filter in, and a number of people have contacted me to say, how can you keep your shrimp in an unfiltered aquarium? And in this video I'm going to show you. Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Richard and I'm a fish and shrimp breeder based in the UK. Now when I first started my channel, one of the first videos I recorded was one of me explaining that shrimp should have a filter, and I believe that is true if you are new to the hobby. But in fact, once you understand shrimp keeping, once you understand the nitrogen cycle within an aquarium, and once you fully appreciate what a filter can and can't do, there are in fact a number of different ways we can set up our aquariums so we don't need a filter. So the first thing we should consider is, what does an aquarium filter actually do? And a filter's job is twofold really. Firstly, to physically remove debris and detritus from the aquarium. But secondly, to filter the water biologically, to convert the fish or shrimp waste from the highly toxic ammonia all the way through to the far less toxic nitrates. Now, no matter how good your filter is, it won't actually remove nitrates from the water, and that's where we as hobbyists have to come in and do water changes. So, bearing that information in mind, how can we set up an aquarium for shrimp that doesn't require a filter? So the first thing we have to be aware of is the beneficial bacteria that live in our filters will actually occupy all parts of the aquarium equally. So you will get just as much beneficial bacteria living on the gravel, on the sides of the aquarium, on the decorations and the rocks and the live plants as you will in the filter. It's just that filters create the ideal environment by cramming in lots of surface area into a small space. Fortunately for us, shrimp have an incredibly small bioload. 2 dozen shrimp don't create a great deal of waste, and therefore, to keep their water biologically clean, you don't require a great deal of beneficial bacteria. In both this vase and this bowl aquarium, there will be more than enough beneficial bacteria coating the sides, coating the substrate, coating the rocks, coating the live plants. There will be more than enough beneficial bacteria to process the waste from these shrimp. Now that wouldn't be true, for instance, for my goldfish tank here, which has 4 large fancy goldfish in it. They create far too much waste. There would never be enough beneficial bacteria in that aquarium to keep the water safe and clean. We have to use filters in that case. But if we're just keeping shrimp in a small tank, generally speaking, providing we're cautious with our feeding, providing we keep up with our regular water changes, there will be enough bacteria to keep the water safe for the shrimp to live in. The other trick is to grow live aquarium plants. Live aquarium plants absorb waste as they grow. They absorb ammonia and nitrite and nitrate, and they remove it from the water column as they grow. It is actually possible for us to grow enough live plants in an aquarium that they will do almost all of the biological filtration from the waste from our shrimp. Generally speaking, the faster a plant grows, the more ammonia, the more nitrates it absorbs as it grows. These small cryptparvas grow incredibly slowly. They won't be absorbing as much as the hygrophila at the back, which grows at an alarming rate. That will be sucking nutrients, that will be sucking nitrates out of the water as it grows. That live aquarium plants are a gift when it comes to setting up an unfiltered shrimp tank. Now, as I said, the other job of the filter is to physically remove debris and detritus from the aquarium. And that's where we come in as shrimp keepers by doing our water changes. By gravel vacuuming and regularly carrying out water changes, we can remove much of that dirt and detritus without having a filter do it for us. Now the question always comes up, how many shrimp can you keep in an unfiltered tank? In this vase here, I've dropped half a dozen in. Those numbers will grow. Again, there's 7 or 8 in the bowl. However, in these breeding tanks, which are not filtered, we can keep 600-700 shrimp at any one time. We allow the colonies in these tubs to grow to 600-700 shrimp before we sell from them. Each of these tubs not only contains a great deal of gravel across the bottom, but we keep a large clump of Java moss in each one. And that does more than enough filtration for us. We don't run filters in any of these breeding tubs, never have. They work perfectly without it. What we do run, however, in all of these tanks is an air stone. and the airstone bubbling away from the air pump provides circulation, keeping the water moving, preventing it from stagnating, and it also provides surface movement. Surface movement allows for the exchange of gases between the surface of the water and the air above, meaning that carbon dioxide can leave the aquarium and fresh oxygen can come in, because our aquarium inhabitants still breathe oxygen. But it also prevents that oily layer of scum that typically builds up on the surface of any water which is still. So, provided we set our shrimp tanks up correctly from the start, it is possible for us to keep shrimp in aquariums without a filter. I would still recommend, if it's your first ever shrimp tank, you've never kept fish before, give yourself a filter, give yourself the best chance. But if you have an understanding of filtration, of fish and shrimp keeping, of the nitrogen cycle, then there's no reason you can't set up nano tanks that rely purely on the plants and the substrate, the beneficial bacteria living on the substrate in the glass, to filter your shrimp tanks. Now, if you are new to the hobby and you're not familiar with the nitrogen cycle and cycling a new aquarium, why not check out the video I've linked on screen. Thanks for watching.